Hey there, welcome to Corey's Datapad for another Mandalorian episode review. These are just going to be my quick thoughts coming out of the latest chapter, the tragedy, and then later tonight we're going to have our full podcast with Eckhart's Ladder, as long as everyone's schedule works out, where we're going to talk about it in more depth. My quick spoiler-free take on the episode is that was good, not one of my favorite episodes of the series, and there's a lot of action in the episode. I did feel like the set design in particular was somewhat underwhelming compared to some of the previous episodes of this season especially, but we are going to jump into full spoilers now, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, it is a good time to jump out. So 3, 2, 1. Alright, so we got a lot of good moments with the Mandalorian and Grogu in the early parts of the episode, showing how much their relationship has evolved over the course of the series, and there's a lot of stuff that feels well earned here in terms of the relationship between them, his reaction, or Din's reaction when Grogu is threatened. But one of the main early things we get here is that we're kind of just going straight to Tython. They do mention later in the episode about how Tython is seemingly in the Outer Rim now because it's under New Republic jurisdiction. They're surprised that the Empire would be there. So I'm not sure if there was an actual change there or if that's something that's going to get retconned out, because I think it's already been established that Tython is in the core in canon. Maybe it hasn't, but either way, a lot of the actual events of this episode or some of the major reveals of this episode did surprise me, because I thought Boba would be an antagonist for Din, and it seems like he's still going to be used to explore some of the differences in like Mandalorian culture and how people relate to it, but he is going to be apparently one of Din's allies, and it seems like he's going to be around for a decent amount of time, or at least the rest of this season, which will be 2 more episodes. So it seems like we could get 3 episodes in a row of Boba Fett, and like I loved all the Boba Fett stuff in this episode, but it was like cool because Boba, not necessarily quite as cool because it was cool independently. I think part of that comes from not being super impressed with Tython. Like it's a really important planet if you look at the background, but then we just kind of fly in. We have the Seeing Stone immediately right there, and for a show that usually takes a decent amount of time to set things up, this felt very rushed because it's something that we just decided was going to be the goal at the end of last episode. And in an episode that's as short as this one, it was kind of surprising that they got there when they did. I would have thought that we'd be getting at least another episode before getting a Tython, maybe have that be the season finale. But it seems like the next 2 episodes are going to deal with getting the prisoner out and then catching up to Moff Gideon in episode 8 probably. Now, the prisoner that Din needs the help of was one of my least favorite characters of the previous season, so I am admittedly not super thrilled about going back to him, but we do get some information on Boba in particular in this episode that I think is kind of important for broader implications, where it's been generally hinted at or established that Boba's not a Mandalorian in this timeline, but we find out here that, well, Boba may not necessarily be a Mandalorian himself. Jango was a foundling and Jango is a Mandalorian. That has been recanonized, so he's not necessarily this fully outside party wearing Mandalorian armor. It is his Mandalorian armor legitimately. It was given to Jango, and now it is rightfully Boba's, but he still doesn't fit into Mandalorian culture the same way. And I think we'll end up seeing some more interaction between Din, Boba, and Bo-Katan, and we'll probably also see that all in the same place, which is something that I wasn't expecting before, and something that I'm actually really looking forward to here. The other cool thing we got in this episode is that we got to see the Dark Troopers in action a little bit. We didn't really get to see them do much other than fly down, grab Grogu, and then fly up. But we're definitely going to see them in action a bit more later, and it's just supposed to kind of establish them as the threat that they are. We did see here that they are fully droid, or they seem to be fully droid, which is something that was unclear to me from the shots that we got previously, where it was kind of dark. So you couldn't really see how their joints worked, which made it unclear if it was going to be people in armor or more like the previous Dark Troopers, where they are droids. But that brings us to the 2 most important events of the episode, where first off, Moff Gideon has Grogu now, so we're going to see a bit more more of what the experiments are going to look like with that, and we might even get the potential for Moff Gideon to become a Force sensitive during this season if that's the path that storyline is going down. And so we see Grogu like messing up some stormtroopers in his cell, but then he gets knocked out, and we're going to start seeing more of those experiments happening, getting more blood. So Grogu is the donor. There was the thing I talked about earlier where maybe it was going to be hinting at Grogu being a clone, but that was incorrect. But the other thing that happens here is we get the destruction of the Razor's Crest. So Razor's Crest gets like obliterated by the Architens in one shot, and so Din is now going to have to travel with Boba on Slave 1 and maybe get a different ship at some point. We'd have to assume that since there does seem to be a Season 3 at least coming, Din is going to get another ship or... And God, the Razor's Crest has been through a lot this season. It was just messed up for pretty much the entire time, and then it gets blown up. But that's going to do it for my early thoughts on this episode. We're going to have a bit more of an in-depth breakdown and discussion later tonight with Eckhart's Ladder as long as our schedules line up. Hope you guys are enjoying The Mandalorian so far. Again, this is an episode that I probably wouldn't put as one of my favorites, but I did enjoy a lot of the action stuff. But yeah, so that'll be later tonight. We'll have the stream scheduled if that ends up working out. But thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.